episode 15, and it is about letting go when the time comes, and this letting go of what you let go of as well. Anything, it could be for letting go of someone who sadly died, any person, your job, a pet, like an animal, a possession, anything. If you're letting something go, this is the episode for you. And of course, I thank you for being on it. And I also want to give a big thanks for 600 plus subscribers. We are growing. We are. Me being able to speak to over 600 of you, I really appreciate that. And as you can tell, my cat's here. But ain't like making a special appearance. But yeah. Anyways, if you keep messing around, do apologize. But yeah, good boy. Anyways, I'll go straight into it though. And I'll tell you the story and the reason why I'm making this episode today. Basically, on when was it? Tuesday. So 2 days ago, I had to. I had to sadly get rid of one of my turtles. I've had 3 pet turtles. 2 I've had for nearly 9 years, which will be 9 years in July of this year. So I've had them for like 8.5 years. And 2 years ago, I rescued a third turtle. The musk turtles, all of them are. I rescued a third turtle, called her Goldie. And there's a lake near me, and someone just dumped her there. So I I felt very bad. I just saw it. It was out on just walking. Me and my mum, my dad as well, actually. So yeah, we were just walking along, and like to the right was the lake, and then there was like these trees, and then there was like a bit where like it could bask or whatever, the turtle, but someone's literally just come and put the turtle down, and yeah, it was just out there in the open. It was too cold for a lake, for musk turtles. They need warmer water. As there is terrapins in that lake, but obviously musk turtles different. And yeah, if I left it, she would have been dead, possibly even ate by a dog or something, because she was literally just out, like placed, So yeah, but thankfully I did rescue her, and I had an amazing 2 years with her. But the reason why I had to get rid of her is because of arguing. I had to split them off because of arguing that bad. And yeah, so I had to get rid of one of them, and that was Goldie, because obviously I'd had her the shortest, and she was going for my other turtle, Myrtle. Shelly, she split off. She's the most aggressive one, but obviously I had to keep her because she's an OG. But yeah, Goldie was going for Myrtle, and I just had to get rid of it. It was upsetting, but I had to do it, and I had to let go of her, and that is one of the reasons why, the reason why I'm making this video, to help you if you need to let go of something or anything, But yeah, it was hard, taking her there. She was at my feet in a bucket, it was upsetting, but the place where I took her was a really good place and all. Like, it was really nice. Like, there was other turtles there, so you could make friends or whatever. It was open, there was a lot of basking area where she could get out of the water and everything, so it was really good. It did make me happy, and that did make me secure. And that's one of the things that allowed me to let go easier. But yeah, that's just the story of that and what I've had to handle. And that's what I'll go into, helping you with letting go of stuff as well, whatever it may be. The reason why you need to let go is because, well, there are many reasons, but one of them is it eases pain. It eases a lot of pain. The more you hold on, the more pain you have, and that is for anything. Like, have you heard about the saying of the water is as heavy for as long as you hold it for, or in that sense, or whatever. So what you have to do is, if this thing's causing you pain, the absence of, whether it's sadly someone's died, whether it's you've been broken up with, you've lost your job, you've had to get rid of your pet like me, or anything like that, you have to let it go, because the more you hold on, the more it's going to hurt, and the more it's going to anger you. And I know it can be hard to do that, but it's what you must do. And I'm not saying like you don't give 2 craps or whatever about this thing, you don't just be like, oh, that's it. Like, if, like, let's say sadly your pet's dying or whatever, you don't just go, oh, I don't care about you anymore and walk off. No, of course you're going to be upset, of course you care for it, and of course you love it, and of course you're going to miss it. But you have to move on, and you can't let that event drag you down. And by doing that, you have to let go, you have to accept what's happening. And that eases the pain. You know, it's like, I'm not going to say who this is, but there's somebody in my life who is struggling with letting go of a certain person in their life. They keep going back to them, calling them whatever, you know, relationship wise, what's next, you know, and that is bad, because this person isn't clearly letting their ex go when they need to, because it's just causing more pain, more anger, more stress, more worry, and all that stuff. So instead of letting go and moving on, they're just holding on, and yeah, it's obviously causing a lot of stress, a lot of worry, and I see that. So yeah, you know, please don't be like that. If you need to let go of this thing, because if not, you'll just be in more pain. You know, whatever it is, it could be anything. If you need to let it go, especially when times come, you need to let go. It eases pain so much. You know, and like I said, the more you hold on, the more pain there is. So if you want to let go, well, no, if you want less pain, you need to let go. It's upsetting when you have to let something go. I do agree, you know, when it's like absence of something. But it's an old chapter. You know, you finished that chapter now. I finished the chapter of owning Goldie, my turtle I had to get rid of. You know, that's it. The chapter of me being her owner is finished. Now a new chapter started, you know. Like a door, one door gets closed, but always another gets opened. So, I don't know what the next chapter be, but maybe another animal could come in my life, or something completely different. But letting go helps you move on. You have to move on, you know, because there's another chapter waiting. There's your future waiting, and you can't just drag on. You can't keep hold of what's happened or whatever situation you're in. You know, you can't just hold on to it. Like if it's the death of a person or a family relative, I've thankfully never had to witness that, but I probably will soon, sadly. But yeah, thankfully I've never witnessed that. But let's say you're having to, you know, bear that pain. You do have to move on in life. Not obviously, again, not forget them, not be like, oh, I don't care about that. You have to move on, accept what happens, and move on. The world keeps going, the world keeps moving no matter what. And you have to keep moving with it, moving on, you know. If not, you're just going to be stuck in the past. You're going to be stuck with what's ever happened, and it's going to drag you down, and it's going to cause a bunch of pain, and it's going to drag you along, and you're going to be its puppet with whatever has happened. But you can't allow that, you know. You have to move on. You know, the world's going to keep spinning, so you keep moving with it. You know, don't get stuck in the past. Okay, don't hold on to the past. Don't hold on to this ex. Don't hold on to this sad thing that's happened, like a death, or that the fact that you might have lost your job, or a business didn't work out, or something like that. You have to let it go and move on, because there's better things waiting. And the only way you can get to those better things is by moving on. And that is one of the things that letting go allows you to do, and that is one of the things you have to do to let go. Move on. Now, some people take the stuff that I have for granted, you know, so you've got to enjoy what you have whilst you have it. You know, if it is a relationship, I'm not saying it's definitely going to end, but enjoy it whilst you have it. Enjoy the pets you have whilst you have it. Enjoy the people you have enjoy the people you have around you whilst you have them. Enjoy the job you have. You know, take the most of everything you have and enjoy it whilst it's there, because one day it will end, you know, whether it's sadly the death of something, getting fired, just losing it, whatever, you know, or change. You have to take advantage and use everything you have and enjoy it whilst you have it. You know, back to the turtle thing. I enjoyed the 2 years I had looking after her, and, you know, being its owner and her being my pet. I enjoyed those 2 years. Same like relationships, past relationships. I enjoyed the relationships whilst I had them, you know. And that's what you've got to do. You have to enjoy whilst you have it, because if not, it's going to cause more issues. Enjoy the company of your parents, because one day they're sadly going to pass. You know, same with me, you know. I enjoy the company of my parents, I enjoy having my parents with me, and I enjoy doing stuff with them because I know, well, because I love them obviously, and I like doing it, but I also know one day I'm not going to be able to do that, so I need to take everything I can have and, you know, use it well and enjoy it. But when the time comes, obviously enjoy, but when the time comes, depart. You know, when the time comes for this thing to go, you have to depart and you have to let go. And if it's gone, the stupid thing to do is to keep holding on and trying to drag it back, because if it's gone, it's going. You know, if it's going to be gone. You know, you can't bring it back. And if you try or you do, like relationships examples, whatever, it will never be the same anyways, and it'll just go again. You know, so moral of this part is enjoy what you have whilst you have it, but when it must go, let it go. You know, openly accept it with open arms and gladly let that thing go. If you can gladly accept what the world gives you, what God gives you, that's amazing. Then, if you can gladly accept when God wants it back, when God's taking this thing off you, if you can gladly accept that and allow Him to, then you will do very well in life. You know, you will flow with life. You won't be fighting with life. You won't be tripping up as much, if you know what I mean, like as if you're clutching at things and all that, trying to keep them there when they're going to have to go. You know, so that's one of the things, you know, you obviously accept what you have, obviously, but then when it needs to be taken off, you know, let it go. The final thing is, after you've let go of this thing, you carry on with life, and that is what I've done. That's what I remember when I first started self-improvement. I had my childhood dog called Henry. It was a Labrador cross collie, an amazing dog, absolutely amazing dog. He sadly passed away, and this was like the first few months of me doing self-improvement. But the thing that really helped me, and the thing that, you know, helped me let go on that and understand that I was in a better place after he died and all that, is carry on with life. I carried on with my routine. I kept going, because again, you know, it's like moving on, you know, keep going with the world, but obviously carry on with your life. After this thing's happened, after what you've got broken up with, someone's died, anything, you have to keep going on with life. And you have to carry on with your routine. Carry on with what you did before. Live how you lived before. Don't let it change you. Don't let it take you off your path. You know, keep going and keep carrying on with life and keep following the path that you are on. You know, don't stop. Don't just dwell and all that. Obviously, if you need to process stuff, of course, process, but carry on in life. I bet things will come, you know, and understand that this is what's best. You know, when someone dies, a pet, a person, an animal, you can at least accept the fact that they're no longer suffering. That is the one thing I always get when I've had like a pet die or whatever. You know, it hurts a lot. You know, it hurts like, you know, yeah, a B word. You know, I ain't cussing, but it hurts a lot basically, and you know, obviously causes you to cry and all that. But the one thing I always get out of it when something dies is they're in a better place. They're no longer suffering. Like back to my dog, who sadly passed away. He was ill, you know, but I knew that now he's died, he's no longer suffering with that. He's in peace, you know, as in rest in peace. Same with this year. We have a lot of animals, you know, so we do have to suffer with a lot of deaths from that. And like same with the guinea pig, it was amazing. I loved him to bits, you know. And yeah, but he sadly died. And it's upsetting, you know. But once he did die, I understood that he's now in peace and he's now in a better place. And it did give that relief of not having to witness him suffering anymore. And that is another thing that you can do on letting go, is to, you know, accept and understand that this, you know, it's better off in a way. You know, the person who dies, they're no longer suffering. You know, the pet that dies, no longer suffering. You know, you break up with someone, you're no longer suffering in a relationship. You know it wasn't true love, and you can move on in life, you can get better, and then you can go towards your next relationship. You know, like I said earlier, and whenever a door's closed, another one always opens. So there's definitely something waiting there for you. But to get there, you've got to let go. I know this isn't probably the most perfect episode, but moral story is you've got to let go when the time comes. If it's going, you have to let go. Because if not, you're going to fight yourself, you're going to fight this world, and it's going to cause a whole lot more pain. So please, learn to let go when the time comes. Whether it's like another story, I'll tell this a lot, but I lost a good friend of mine for 7 years. But the day I knew that he's gone, that we're not going to be mates anymore, I just let him go. I didn't hold on. I didn't try and force contact or anything. I just got on with life. I carried on. I moved on. It eased the pain, and all that stuff. And I hadn't spoke to him nearly a year now, and but because I let go, I didn't hold on. It was easier to move on. It was easier to carry on in life, and there was a lot less pain there. And from that, though, I got another relationship. I got one of my old friends back. So I lost my best friend, but because of that, I also gained a best friend. So there we go. I lost something, but I gained something back. So and then obviously breaking up with a glass. I think that sucks. That I had a 2-week relationship, and she's on my mind nearly a year after. Really just made it. Probably didn't have to talk about it so much, but like I always say, it does help you on that. But I had to let her go and all. I had to accept the fact that she's gone, and I had to understand that she's not coming back, and I couldn't have her back because she cheated. And when someone cheats, you can never trust them again. And I don't care what you say, but that can change and all this. No. Someone cheats, someone does something like that, you never go back. Never, ever, ever, ever. Not for a second. Alright. And she tried. But obviously, I said no. Because I could never trust her again. And it just would never be the same, and it wouldn't work, and it would end the same anyways, So, I had to let her go. I had to let her go, and like the fact of that's never going to be a thing anymore, even though I wish I could have married her and all that. I'm just, I'm one of those people who dates to marry, but I had to let her go. I had to let my mate go. I had to let love animals go and sadly passed, or you have to get rid of them and all that. I've had to let other people go. I've had to let failed businesses go. Because if you let go, you can move on. And if you let go, you stay out from being stuck in the past. You stay in the present and you walk towards the future. That's what it is. You've got to let go. And I know I apologise for this being a bit of a waffle, bit of a rumble on, but I know it'll still help you, and I know that you can now let go of whatever's happened, of this thing that's happened in your life. Let it go and move on, please. It will just help you so much more. It'll help you now, and it will help your future self. So yes, and that is it. As usual, I'm going to do a book recommendation and a bit of wisdom. So, the book I recommend today is Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday. This is what it looks like. I tried finding a book that can go well with this video, and this is probably the one that I haven't recommended already that goes well with this video. Because letting go and moving on does require discipline. It's not an easy thing. I understand that. I mean, you struggle with it. I struggle with it myself. And it does require a lot of discipline. Sometimes not at all, but other times it does. It requires a lot of strength and a lot of discipline to let go, but then also not allow yourself to go back and to keep moving forward. So, Discipline is Destiny. It's an amazing book. Obviously, it's all about discipline and all that. It's one of the 4 books of Ryan Holiday. I think there's only 3 of the 4 stock virtues. But this is one of them. This is one about the discipline. So it's just all about discipline and all that, and staying strong and doing the right thing. So it's an amazing book. I really recommend it. And I love Ryan Holiday. I mean, he is my favourite influencer I've ever watched and probably ever will watch. So I will probably get his other book. It's about justice, the next one. But anyways, I recommend Discipline Destiny. I recommend Discipline is Destiny, should I say. But it's generally an amazing book. I'm flicking through it now. I've only read this once. I probably need to reread it at some point again. Help me with discipline. You know, because you always need help with discipline these days. Well, everyone does. So, yeah, and I'll see if there's we'll pick a bit of wisdom from it. So, give me 2 seconds. Discipline is not a punishment, it's a way to avoid punishment. And, yeah, I can relate to that. And I know people that used to be in my life and stuff, who thought, you know, discipline is just it's just going to cause them more pain, it's just going to cause them more issues, and it's just going to keep them from missing out the fun or whatever. But like it says here, it's to avoid punishment. You know, discipline keeps you a good character, it keeps you well, it keeps you healthy, it keeps you doing the right things, and it keeps you away from all the bad stuff and all the trickeries and all that stuff. Thank you for watching today. I thank you for being on my podcast. I really do appreciate it. I hope you learn, and I hope you can now let go of this burden, this thing that's happened, whatever it may be, and move on in life, you know. And if it's like the death of someone, like I haven't been using a lot, you know, move on, you know, let go of what's happened. Obviously remember them, have the happy memories you had with that person, smile, you know, don't let the absence crush you, you know, and understand that they're absent now, yes, and it's upsetting, but one day someone new's gonna come in your life and fill that hole, you know. So yeah, and for everything else, you know, one thing comes out of your life, another thing will eventually go in. So yeah, thank you for watching though, I do appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Remember, let go when the time comes. Depart when you need to depart, okay?